Evening, folks. I'm on my way home from work and wanted to do a quick video about something I talked about earlier about what's going on in Louisville, about the protesting and violence and threatening and a lot of huffing and puffing. But in my post, I had mentioned enacting your Evac plan. And I had somebody at work who saw the post and asked me what an Evac plan was. And I thought, well, that'd be a great video topic to do a quick little blurb to try to explain what I meant by that. An Evac plan was just short for an evacuation plan. And an evacuation plan looks different for everybody. It depends on where you are, if you're in the city, if you're in the suburbs, if you're in a rural area, if you're in the country. It's going to look different for everyone, but the basic gist of an evac plan, or a bug out plan, or a GTFO plan, or whatever you want to call it, is something you come up with ahead of time, not in the midst of it, because that's the worst time to think about that kind of stuff. Is plan on how you're either going to get home or leave home if something has come towards your home in a safe manner. So you're thinking ahead. Being a patriot, being a prepper, it's all about chess. You're thinking 2, 3, 4 moves ahead, so that way you can be ahead of the curve. And an evac plan is something that you and your family sit down and figure out. So if you're at work and your spouse is at their job, or the kids are at school, or grandma is at the grocery store, and something happens, whether it's a natural disaster like a tornado or hurricane, which just happened recently, or a man-made disaster like the one that's going on in Louisville right now, and really all around the country, having that plan ahead of time so that you know how to get home multiple ways. Or if you're home and you have to leave and go somewhere else, say grandma's house that's a state over, or a relative's that's maybe 2 states over, or a friend's house that's a couple cities over, something that gets you out of harm's way safely. And so this plan is something you design that fits around your geography. So like I said, whether you're in the city, in the suburbs, in the rural area, in the mountains, whatever, having a plan to get from point A to point B is great. But in an evac plan, you need to have a point A to point E to point C. You need to have multiple ways of getting from point A to point B. So knowing some back routes, knowing some shortcuts, knowing how to get from your house to wherever you're going to go, or from work to wherever you're going to go safely, and have it so that everyone knows what it is. If this happens, we're all going to meet X wherever. If people with pitchforks and torches are coming down the street, you know not to go home and go to grandma's house, or vice versa. So that's what an evac plan is. An evac plan is just something that you come up with ahead of time, not in the midst of things. That's the worst place, that's the worst time to do that, because you'll make mistakes, you won't think of something, and you'll forget something. But also in this evac plan, you want to have, if you're at work, you want to have the tools that you'll need to get home safely. Whether that's a car, whether that's a bike, whether that's a good pair of shoes, you need to have things like that in plan. So throw a bag in your car. That way, if you have to get home, you can jump in the car and go. If something happens and you can't get through and you have to hoof it the rest of the way, at least you have a good pair of sneakers or hiking boots that will get you home in case of a road blockage, a bridge out, the road's washed out, whatever. and then follow that plan. Make sure everyone follows that plan. The worst thing is to create a plan, and when things start going bad, people begin to panic and freak out, and they do their own thing. So when you're working on these plans, work on them together. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, all the kids. That way everyone knows, in case of an emergency, whatever it is, in case of emergency, your bug out plan, your evac plan, everyone knows where you're going to be and how you're going to get there. That's all an evac plan is. So there's your quick explanation of an evac plan. So now is the time to figure it out before it gets too late. Ooh, I got dark all of a sudden. Now is the time to figure that out. Not in the middle of chaos. Not when your city's burning. Not when the tornado is one town over and bearing down on you. That's the worst time to do it. Is figuring out how to get to point A to point B and get everyone there. So do it now. That way, ooh, got dark again. Sorry. Now is the time to figure that out, so that when chaos happens, you will be the sane person amongst all the crazy people. That's the worst thing to do, is to follow the chaos and get stuck somewhere and not know how to get home from wherever you are, or from work to home, or the grocery store to home, or to grandma's house, or whatever. So that's a quick explanation of what an evac plan is. We'll go more into detail of these kinds of things shortly. But again, just sit down, figure that out. If something were to happen, here's the first place we're going to go. If that doesn't work, here's the second place we're going to go. And then figure out, take a look at a map, figure out how to get there from multiple routes. So there's a quick explanation of what an evac plan is, like a bug out plan, a GTFO plan, whatever you want to call it. That is a quick explanation of how you can escape and evade when things go wrong. I'll talk to you later.